Please protect me, Chair.
Use your time, use your time.
Yeah, protect me so I can proceed under a conducive environment.
Is there somebody injecting fear?
Honorable Malema says we must use 30 minutes only.
No, he's right. If you use 5 minutes of the time, we proceed to the next speakers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. But use your time effectively.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, Minister. Before any further ado, I would like to request for this clarification from you with regards to a consultation to the President. Earlier you said when you were asked questions by the evidence leader, the response that you gave is that you did consult the President and the President consented to the disbandment of the PKTT. Today, when Honorable Ngola was asking the same question about consultation between yourself and the President, you gave a different answer. You said you did not consult the President. So for my record, which one should I take? Did you consult or you didn't consult the President?
I did. I did consult after writing.
After means after
the letter
the 31st.
of the 31st, yes.
After the 31st of December.
Yes.
Okay, so you were not consulting, you were informing him because the decision had already been taken.
Well, that could be your interpretation or somebody's or anybody's interpretation, but factually, it was after the 31st.
Okay. If I can summarize the presentation that you have given here before the committee, you said that the reason why you disbanded the team is because A, you have a constitutional right to do so. 2, and you gave different interpretations of the clauses in the Constitution. B, you had budgetary concerns. C, there are complaints that you received from the members of the public. D, there is a work study that was conducted which influenced your decision. Is that the correct summary of your whole presentation?
Fairly, yes, because you count the Constitution, in other words, that I was within my constitutional right, and
Yes.
the clauses that is within the legislative framework, and then budgetary constraints, and then complaints not just from the public, where I want just a slight amendment, but also from members of the National Political Killings Task Team internally, not just outside that. And then the work study and implementation thereof.
Okay.
It's a fair summary.
Yes, I just want us to deal with one aspect, the aspect of complaints from members of the public. The evidence that you have attached to your statement is an evidence that relates to complaints that were written by Patricia Mashale and Mary Dihas. Those are the two complainants that we have attached in your statement. Now, you have even went to an extent of attaching Facebook posts that were written by Patricia Mashale. Do you regard the allegations that were made by Patricia Mashale as damning? Were they damning?
First, I must correct that I only included those two. I did include that there are other people internal to National Political Killings Task Team. I did indicate that in my main submission, and that I even went on to suggest that they be called in themselves to speak And I did engage the evidence leader, how it could be done and all of that. And therefore, they are included in the submission. It's not just Patricia Mashale.
Yeah, but I'm saying mainly the evidence of Patricia Mashale is dominating, for instance, the Facebook post and so on, and emails that were written by her to your office.
And then your question?
The question is, do you regard the allegations that she was making as damning?
Well, I regard that as something that can't be ignored. That's why I brought it. Not necessarily damning, especially because I did indicate that at some point I got worried about the frequency with which she was sending things about SAPS, and I went to the IGI to say, can you profile this lady to me, because I am looking at the frequency. I want to know who she is exactly and so on. So not necessarily all damning, not just damning, not damning in all respects. There are somewhere where you feel, yo, this matter, but in others it's a repeat of what you know and all of that.
Yeah,
That's-
but the fact of the matter, are you done, Minister?
The
Are
fact
you
of the
done?
matter-
Are you done?
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that when you were giving reasons here for the decision that you took on the 31st, you made mention of these reasons, of these complaints. So it means they influenced your decision in one way or the other. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure exactly when you talk about influence, because it could be misinterpreted, but I'm counting it as a factor. There was this, there was that, there was all these issues. To me, they gave a collective weight that caused me to write this collectively. But if you select one and as having this and that, it will be a problem, because immediately you discount all others. So I weighed all of them.
Yeah. No, I'm not discarding others, Minister. I'm saying
Okay.
they are part of the reasons that
Yes.
influenced your decision
Yes.
on the 31st of December.
Yes.
Now, don't you think you acted irrational by being influenced by decisions which you have never tested through subjecting them to an investigation?
No, all the time when there are matters like those, you need some form of investigation, or if not an investigation itself. Now, when I took the decision, I did indicate clearly, as I do now, that I was looking forward to more engagement through the preliminary report and through the meeting of UNESCO. That is where we're going to meet high level, all of us. And then I would have outlined all my concerns, including that one. And therefore, I'm responding in that particular way. That you in a way, the letter could be regarded as an invitation for a serious, substantial discussion internally from me to the National Commissioner, so that we discuss this. That's why I said it was not a fait accompli at all, but it was a decision. Like all other decisions in the world, not just in South Africa or in Parliament, when there are weighty matters coming your way after you have taken a decision, you review your decision. You can always review your decision if there are weighty matters coming your way. But what I did was to take a decision when I felt that the matters before me warrant a decision, and I did so.
So do you agree with me, Minister, that these allegations were never tested? You never even attempted to test them through a thorough investigation.
Not necessarily that way. Remember that a person like De Haas also came to Parliament, and they were talking about things that you yourself would see in the department, and you would hear from other people talking from a different angle, but saying the same thing. And even though you may not necessarily call that an investigation, but you could see that other people are also concerned, or they are sharing the concern. So in as far as a shared concern is concerned on some matters, yes, even though they were not tested in an investigation, which I said, by the way, the form in which the inquiry, which I spoke about with a special advisor at the beginning of the year, was still in question. How would we do it? How do we craft it? Because we knew, even having taken the decision, we needed these other people to give them a platform where they would talk about the things they were saying to me, but in a platform created for that, while meeting their demands of safety and all of that and so on that they were counting. So while it is there was no rigorous testing, but it was not just a copycat of seeing a complaint, then you go and write a letter.
Yeah. When you disband the task team, you are reorganizing the police service. That is my understanding. You reorganize the police service, you consider priorities and needs that are prevalent at that time of your decision. Is that correct?
When I do what?
I'm saying when you disband the task team under normal circumstances, you disband it because you are prioritizing needs and priorities that are prevalent at that time. Do you agree with me?
Partly minding that there are task teams that would have been established by a district commissioner or a provincial commissioner or a national commissioner using powers of that they have. But in the form of the National Political Killings Task Team, it came into existence via an intervention of the president and directed to the IMC, and then it came into being. And if you did so, it's not entirely like an internal, like for instance, the task team of 2016 to 18. That one had nothing to do with any intervention from anywhere else. Those ones were internal. Even 2014 to 16, that task team was internal. But this one had a difference. So what you are narrating, yes, but it applies to ordinary task teams that would have been established, not this particular one, because this one came as a result of an intervention.
But this task team, Minister, was established in accordance with the needs of KZN.
Yes.
Because political killings were prevalent in KZN, were rife in KZN.
Yes, but remember that those matters got elevated to the country as a whole, to the level of the country.
Yeah, but remember, we must not lose context. At the time when the decision was taken, there was a death of a comrade in KZN.
Yes.
And the president attended a funeral in KZN.
Yes.
And then he made a commitment that he's going to intervene. Post that, he came to Parliament, he announced the establishment of the interministerial committee. So I'm saying the main reason for its formation was the political killings that were rife in KZN.
Yes.
Yes.
To which the president decided to politically intervene.
Correct. And therefore, it was formed on the basis of the policing needs and priorities of KZN.
You could probably interpret it like that, but you are not talking about ordinary policing here, because there was that kind of, I would say, development in the province where there was an increase in observed of this particular nature. It was not just one incident, it was a pattern, and therefore the president decided to intervene. It's important to factor that in, that there was a pattern that was discernible that caused the president to act.
Okay, let me put this proposition to you, that the decision to disband falls within the ambits of Section 11, subsection 2 of the SAPS Act, which I've read. I can read it again for you, which provides that the National Commissioner has powers to organize and reorganize the service into various components, units, and groups. Now, the task team falls in a category of groups because it is not a unit. I think you gave a very eloquent explanation when you are making a difference between a unit and a task team. And therefore, this responsibility to disband does not fall within the powers of the minister. There is nowhere in the Constitution where you are given powers to either establish or disband a structure, because you don't have powers to control and manage the policy affairs or the policy services.
You would take care to note that when the National Commissioner exercises his powers, including that one, it is with due regard to the ministerial powers. I just want to put a comma there and go on to say, this task team, although it's a task team in the manner that would more or less be explained like that, this one didn't come just anyhow. The president intervened politically and caused certain matters to take a particular course via his decision. IMC, political task team, okay. Not via the exercise of normal powers that you are talking about, where the National Commissioner in his office would say, let me reorder, let me organize, let me control, let me change, It didn't come like that. It came via political intervention. Now the question is, or the issue is, if political interventions leads into what we ended up having in the manner that we had, what is wrong, either legally or otherwise, when the same political intervention is now reversed to say we are now disbanding what we brought into existence, we're now bringing it into an end? What's wrong with that? So my reasoning is that if you created an entity or a structure like that, political, it's different from a structure that emanated from within the office of the National Commissioner. You couldn't come as minister and say, you could discuss it, you could engage, but you couldn't just...
Yeah, but there's a difference, Minister, and I'm about to conclude this aspect because seemingly we're not agreeing. There is a difference between giving a directive and taking a decision on behalf of a person who has the authority to manage and control. Giving a directive doesn't mean that you can do or you can encroach powers of a person who has a statutory responsibility to manage and control. There's a difference between the two. A directive can say, make these considerations, I've made these observations. Since you have a power to control and manage, make these considerations and take a decision. But to go to an extent of signing, of writing a letter and take a decision on behalf of the National Commissioner, while he's not even there, he's on leave. To sign, I think, according to me, was extreme. You went to the extreme by signing a letter that disbands. It was going to be understandable if maybe you called the National Commissioner or you wrote a letter to him advising him that there are these concerns that you have as a minister. He must attend to them, or even advise that maybe we must consider disbanding this structure because of these reasons.
But
So you gave you gave yourself powers you don't have by signing a letter that communicates a disbandment.
I take it that the honorable member is not suggesting that I acted outside the Constitution, which I'm arguing I didn't. I acted within, and I'm also of the view that you're not necessarily saying I acted without my legislative powers, which I would deny and I'm denying. And then go on to say the National Commissioner, as from the 3rd, with evidence, acted accordingly. A letter was issued from his office. Presentation was, an outline of how this thing would happen, the disbandment, what way it would follow, what pattern it would follow was written on the 22nd. And then we went to March, the 5th, at the portfolio committee, an outline was made. And then on the 6th, the same thing happened. So that pattern of events would make you see that there was understanding, and there was no feeling that I was outside the Constitution. That only arose at a later stage when there was talk of a commission and all of that. And I know why, and I did indicate that there was only one official, honorable member, that took exception to the dissolution. It was General Mchunu, right from the beginning on the 2nd. Only him. Not any other provincial commissioner, not the national commissioner, not anyone else. It was him. It is him who come with words like, was this fight back? Is the minister clean? He also proceeded to say something to the effect that to suggest that the commissioner, national commissioner, is busy coordinating meetings with people who are against the directives in his conversation with Chief of Staff. Now, it was all from him and so on. So that's why I'm saying not exactly, because we had an understanding. After all, there was nothing stopping the National Commissioner from writing me a letter to say, Minister, it happens all the time. I think that your directive, let's discuss your directive. I think that there's this and that in a corner or in writing. It would have happened.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the disbandment, Minister.
Yes.
How many were disbanded after the decision, after this recommendation was made? How many task teams were disbanded?
Well, the question that you asked earlier to say how many were there before,
Yes.
and how many did the study recommend that they should be integrated, it refers to a specific list. So it means all those in that list, they were then integrated as per the recommendation of the work study, but
Yeah,
I
but
can't just say them out of hand
Did you
now.
did you write a disbandment letter for them?
Pardon?
Did you write a disbandment letter for those that were also part of the list? Like you did for the PKTT. Is there any letter that you wrote disbanding the other task teams?
Not necessarily, because they were not the subject of what we needed to do. Remember, here, we were optimizing, we were wanting to ensure that we meet the obligations that we have. And there was an instrument that was already in place. They had already been integrated, but they were at various levels of being established or formed. And so we were confirming or endorsing that. It was not about looking at this team, disband it, looking at this team, and so on. But this one was on focus at one point, just like the police inspectorate was at focus in one of our discussions. And we say, no, look, let's look at this one. And we agreed to look at it. And then we're now looking at this one. And we decided that and look, it was not for the first time. I'm not the first person to mention disbandment of the political task team. The very beginning, it was temporal. It was never to be permanent. And there were extensions. You wouldn't extend on a permanent basis, keep on extending annually. They were outside of the structure. You wouldn't continue with that. It's not good governance. It's quite a number of things that you would have needed to ratify anyway. So all others that were there had been integrated, and so there was no need to focus on them in any way.